Well, hello there. Welcome to the Obi-Thorin Alliance. In today's video, like what we did with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we're going to be doing a streaming when Loki comes out every Wednesday. We're going to be talking about it and covering it on a weekly basis. And joining me in covering it is Luke.
Hey.
And if you can, like and subscribe and drop down your thoughts about the episode as well. Looking forward to hearing and keep the discussion going on the show. So,
yeah. What do you so let's tell them let's summarize what happens in episode 1 of Loki.
Well, basically we get to kind of find out from Avengers Endgame, from when Loki took the Tesseract, we get to find out where Loki went to this desert planet and then he got arrested.
Yeah, so I think he went to Mongolia, so he's still in Earth, and then these strange people come out of their little box and they're like a portal as such, and then they have a bit of a scene with him and he gets arrested. And just like what the trailer implied, it has something to do with time travel and time police.
Yes.
So then we meet the time police, and what do we find out about them?
Is that they're put in charge of having the main multiverse being corrected and everything has to be perfect, but if someone gets out of time, they're called reverends.
Yeah, so we got the TVA, which is the Time Variant Authorities, and their job is to search for any variations in the timelines that their three masters of time have predicted. And Loki, because of what he's done, he has created a variant, and then they refer to them as a nexus, is where the time variant occurs, and they go searching for Loki. And so we find out a bit about them, which we'll discuss later. And then Loki kind of gets sentenced and shown that his crimes that he's committed, even though he didn't realise he committed a crime. He just grabbed the Tesseract and teleported, but he changed the timeline of what was meant to happen with him being killed by Thanos.
Yeah.
What else we find out? We meet Owen Wilson's character, Mobius. So tell us about him.
Well, the first thing we get to meet with Mobius, he's actually in, I think it was 1352 or in the past, and then we get to see that there's actually a kind of murder going on with the time police, and that he's investigating what's going on there, and it's something to do with things going wrong.
Yeah, so it seems like the time police keep going and chasing this variant. The variants keep getting killed, so then Owen Wilson's character Mobius gets invited in because he's the head investigator, kind of like an FBI agent but for the TVA. And he talks to this young French boy, because they're like in the 1300s in France, I believe. And he asks him about what's happened, and he mentions that the devil, and he points at this mural, or like a glass mural of a devil, because they're in a church. And I think that's not because it is the devil. I think it's more because this person possesses magic, and 1300s they assume that they're a devil or a demon. And Mobius noticed the boy has some blue teeth and asks him about that, and he shows that he has this packet of gum, which is also from a different timeline. So this character, the variant, has gone back in time and has been using his tricks and candy and different things to try and manipulate people. We then are saying the fate of Loki. So Loki's about to get sentenced as guilty for his crime against time, changing the variation, and then Mobius's character steps in. And what does that lead to us for the rest of the episode?
Well, he kind of gives him some dialogue with what is going on, is that we're basically powerful, and then he says, "Well, I'm a god. You're basically working for space lizards." And then they basically go into his office, and that was probably the best scene of the episode, is when they had their conversation about why Loki does what he does, and then he basically showed him what his timeline is meant to be.
Yeah, so Mobius explains how the TVA works, and Loki starts to realize that they're quite powerful, and the fact that he's a god means nothing to them because they control time, which is even more powerful than him. He shows him on this projector screen like Loki's life and the things he's done, and I guess it kind of shows Loki again like how powerful these people are. And then through his trickery, he manages to escape, and he goes searching for the Tesseract. What happens there?
Well, we actually find out that to these beings, that the Infinity Stones are just paperweight.
Yeah, so he goes and gets the Tesseract from the drawer, and you realise that there's a whole bunch of Infinity Stones in there, even multiples of the same one. And he asks the guy, like, "Oh, what's the deal with these?" He goes, "Oh, we get these all the time. People always come through with these." And he goes, "Oh, we even use them as paperweights." And again, it makes Loki think, well, these things that I've been wanting to get and Thanos wanted so badly mean nothing to these people. How powerful must they be? And I think at that point he kind of realizes that he has something to gain from them. He is they call him the god of mischief. He's thinking of a plan here. So he goes back to the room where he was getting held by Mobius.
And the collar around his neck and the the button they uses to send him back.
Yeah, they have some kind of technology where they put a collar around, and it can slow time down and send things back in time. And as they say,
but
time
not the chair, because he flows the chair.
Yeah, so not objects, just the person with the collar on it. So he returns back, and then he looks at the projector screen whilst everyone else is still looking for him. And what's he discover?
That indeed he was in fault for his mother dying, but he also finds out what happened with his father Odin, and then all the history throughout the universe, and then Infinity Wars, as we know as the viewers, but he doesn't know they actually passes away, and then he
realizes that he dies, and it starts to make sense to him why they're saying that his destiny is already set, and by him taking the Tesseract, he's changed his destiny. So he's starting to realize that these people are really powerful, that he was meant to die, and the fact that he's still alive has created a variant, and they're trying to restore that. And then Mobius comes in and asks him for help, trying to fix this other variant, the one that they referred to as being a devil earlier on. And what's the revelation we find out about this variant?
That Mobius is sane, but we haven't seen that it's the other version of Loki.
Yeah. So he's asking Loki to help capture another time variant of Loki. So I think it's going to create quite an interesting storyline. I guess that gives us an idea of what the show's going to be about. Yeah, we can discuss that a bit further. But overall, what are your thoughts on the episode? What do you think about it so far?
It's very much unlike WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It kind of explores what it's about very much. Like straight away, it tells you instead of holding things back what it's kind of a good thing, because it only has 6 episodes.
Yeah.
So it overloads. Well, I can understand why some people would be like, "Oh, this is too much information," but I think they kind of know with this show they kind of need to start getting the ball rolling, I guess.
That's a good observation, because WandaVision, it's kind of a mystery for several episodes what's going on. Falcon the Winter Soldier, we see action at the start, but we don't really understand what the villain is yet. But this, we kind of know. They've revealed all their cards, but it's a good thing because now we're excited. We want to know how this time variation works and how Loki can help, and does this somehow is the end result Loki, this variation of Loki being allowed to live and then him being in future movies, which is kind of what we're assuming will happen.
And I think the concept of the show is that throughout the episode, Loki's being told, no, we decide your fate. And I think the concept will be throughout the show is my destiny made for me, or do I get to choose it?
Yeah. So comparing it to the other shows we've seen so far, as a first episode, do you think it's if we rank it with the first episode of WandaVision and the first episode of Falcon the Winter Soldier, where do you put it?
Definitely better than WandaVision, but that's because it kind of did it differently with that. WandaVision decided to hold its cards, and Loki's decided we're gonna kind of give you the information, and I think it's worked in Loki's favor more than WandaVision. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I just think Loki is more an interesting character compared to those two. Like, Loki could have got his own movie, but I think a TV show is better in a way, and I think Morbius, Owen Wilson is just a fantastic choice, and I think Loki's, I think, the better first episode in my opinion. What about yours?
Yeah, I agree. It'd be my top ranking one out of those three.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to what happens the most out of all of them.
Yeah.
WandaVision was a mystery with a really good ending. Falcon the Winter Soldier was kind of like action the whole way, but it wasn't full of twist. Like, it had some twist, but it was... You knew that the show was going to be about who was going to replace Steve Rogers as Captain America. And it was subpar characters given an important job. Where this is just different. Like, Loki's not a villain. He's not a good guy.
He's neutral.
If at the end of the series he dies, you're probably not going to be too upset. But it's just a cool extra story. It's like... in the Star Wars universe, how they added the Rogue One. It was just like an extra story to put on the side, which I really liked. So I have high hopes for this. I think it's going to be really good. Okay, so we're looking forward to the next episode. We've got a few more days that comes out. What are some talking points, some things you want to discuss from the episode?
I guess the main talking point of how they had like this talking circle, what kind of reminded me in Jurassic Park with how they had that talking about the dinosaurs. It kind of reminded me of that in Loki, when it basically talked to Loki, and it was very clever, talked to the audience as well when he was about to get in trial to explain how everything works.
Yeah, I think they did that really well. So you're talking about the animation where he watches
basically
the screen and it explains the time, the TVA.
Yeah.
I like that because it opens up the world of the multiverse.
Yeah.
And it explains it really well. And I think that leading into the next
Doctor
Strange movie, if you haven't seen this show, it might make it confusing.
Yeah.
Like, I think it might make it a lot better. So it's exciting. I did like how they did the clip, and at the end of it, it makes sense. We're not having to sit here and go, I don't really get how the TVA works and time. They explained it so nicely that we get it. There's different timelines. There was wars because people would skip timelines and create. So these people look over the timelines.
Three gods, yeah.
And then there's their TVA. I guess we don't understand how they work. Are these people humans or are they other beings? We don't know. Are they strong? Are they immortal? Don't know. How do they age? Not sure yet. But their job is to stop this. If someone changes the timeline, they then have to go and resolve it because you're not meant to. So they make funny jokes about like people getting time machines and going back to collect oil to get rich. And they're going, this happens all the time. So it makes you think that like in the Marvel universe, time travel is a thing that happens, but these people destroy those variants before they affect your timeline. Yeah, so it's cool. What else we find out about the TVA that I thought was interesting? That obviously people's timelines are pre-set out and they make sure that happens.
Did you like when they like came into their circle? Did you notice they had like a time device that like recentered when something happened? Like when Loki first entered, they had like a device that they said oh, we're gonna recenter this timeline, and they pressed the device.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because in the bit when the evil they say it's Loki, but we haven't seen who it is. They tried to do it, but they didn't do it in time.
Yeah. I'm intrigued by their powers. The fact they have like a stick where they hit Loki and he goes to like he goes into super slow mode and he can't control it. And they obviously have cool devices that control time. And I guess it shows us how powerful time is. I thought about the cool thing now that they mentioned Loki questions why the Avengers aren't in trouble for changing the timeline because they went back in time. And what's the answer they give us was...
It was meant to be.
Yeah, so it's cool that it explains that. You go, oh, he's got a good point. But the timeline people knew that that's the only way that the Avengers could stop Thanos was by going back in time, which we think is changing the timeline, but not really. They were just fulfilling the preset prophecy that had already been determined by these time gods, and obviously that happens in multiple universes. And I guess they're saying about they have heaps of Infinity Stones. That would make you think that other people in some sort of timeline have tried to do what Thanos has done. They've gone, got them, brought them back, taken their Infinity Stones off them. So, yeah, it's really cool. It opens up a cool world for Marvel.
Did you find it funny when he went through the process of being in the trial of how first he got arrested and then basically went through the machine that took off his god clothes, and then he went down to the person that's like, are you a robot?
Yeah, it's a funny scene. Like, again, Loki discovering how insignificant he is. He talks about himself being a god, but these people don't fear him. They don't really even respect him. They disintegrate his, by gods. Yeah, they disintegrate his clothes.
Yeah.
The scene with the robot, and they go, oh, well, you're going to go into this thing and it's going to do some kind of scan on you. And if you are a robot, it'll just disintegrate you. It's funny. And
then we've got the ticket scene.
Yeah, there's a lot of funny scenes there. There's like the ticket. There's also the one where they get him to, they're like, oh, can you please sign this and confirm this as every word you've ever said in your life? Yeah. And then he says another word, and then he reprints it out and goes, oh, now you got to sign it again. Yeah. So there's a good mix of humour, which I think Loki itself comes with humour as a character, and then Tom Hiddleston is a great actor. So, and then Owen Wilson, who is playing someone that's serious in this role, but we know he's a comedian, so there's going to be funny scenes with him in it. So think of the things we've touched on so far. So we've talked about the TVA, how they work, Loki and how he's realising he's not that powerful in comparison to them. That's kind of it for the episode. I guess the rest is a mystery and we're going to find out next. What do you think is going to, based on what we've seen so far, what do you think the series, what's going to happen?
I think Loki is going to, going to try to help, but also try and work out a way how he can be in charge, or try and make himself be in, like I said, his own destiny, so how he can actually matter in the timeline so he doesn't die in Infinity Wars.
Yeah, and is it fair to assume that Loki won't die? Because believe he is cast in future movies?
Yeah.
So we'd assume that this Loki somehow survives, whether it's through doing something mischievous, or whether he gets granted like permission to continue on by helping the TVA. That's what we'll work out. I guess we now assume that the series is going to follow Loki hunting Loki. What else? Do we think that we'd almost assume that Loki's going to do something to backstab someone or double cross them, because that's just what Loki does. Why do you think there's this other variant of Loki? What are your theories on that?
If it is a version of Loki, because we haven't seen it yet, I guess maybe because, you know, Mobius has kind of, you know, trusted Loki. This Loki defeats Loki. It's just, you know, time repeating itself.
That's my first thought, you know, like Mobius so Loki's changed the timeline. One of the Lokis has somehow not been caught by the TVA and he's gone and been doing mysterious stuff. And then what the other Loki that does get caught is then asked to help the other Loki, or does that Loki that doesn't get caught, he somehow escapes and it's like some kind of time loop. Which it's going to be something to do with time looping. Probably that's about it. I think it's got me intrigued. I'm looking forward to the second episode of this more than I did of the other shows so far. Do you think we're going to see any cameos from other significant Marvel characters?
Yeah, couldn't hurt. Could be possible.
How do you think that'll happen? My thought is maybe through going through different timelines, they might just like brush past like one of the other Marvel characters or see them in a distance.
Yeah.
I don't know if any are going to be involved in the capturing of Loki because it's, as they said, the people don't know about the TVA because you don't need to know about them until you need to know about them, and then at that point you probably get destroyed by them, so you don't, like, dead man tells no tales, so it kind of explains why they're a secret. Do you think Doctor Strange would know who they are? If he's like the keeper of time and he has the time stone and he is able to go through and manipulate time, I feel like he must in some way know who they are or have some kind of indication.
Yeah, maybe that would be interesting to know.
Yeah. What other questions do I have for you? You got any questions for me?
I guess my question would be, who do you think, what sort of audience do you think would like Loki and kind of,
Well, you got to be a Marvel fan. I think if this was your first show, you'd never seen anything Marvel before, you might like it, but you wouldn't understand it. You're like, why is Loki important? What is Thanos? What's the Infinity Stones? Like, it wouldn't make sense. But I think... you've really got to be a Marvel fan, but I think it can appeal to even the smallest of fans, like people that have just watched the movies and didn't love them but want something else, because time travel is always something that intrigues people. So yeah, it's pretty open. I've got pretty high expectations for the series, so I hope it lives up to it.
I just remembered something. You know how in one of the scenes we found out Loki was at a bank heist? He robbed money?
Yes.
That was interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I think that was not showing time travel. He was showing Loki bad things he's done in his life. And I guess that's referring to how it's believed that like Thor and Loki used to come down to Earth sometimes and like play tricks and do fun things to entertain themselves because they're the gods of the 9 realms and whatnot. So I think that was just showing an example of something he did, because he goes, I did that for a dare with Thor. So it's a cool, funny thing to add. The scene probably means more to other people because Mobius said something to him and referred to it as being like a character. So maybe that was a copy of something that happened in a movie or like a sitcom or something. It didn't mean anything to me, but I feel like there was probably some kind of reference to something else in there. Okay. Well, looking forward to the next episode, unless you got any other questions.
Are you more, I guess, hoping the next episode is up to the same standards and it continues this trend?
Yeah, I'm assuming it will be up to the same standard. I think we've kind of been explained what happens and we've been built up. I think the next episode will be more like action, like something will happen, like Loki might come face to face with this other Loki, we'll understand a bit more, but it'll be left on a cliffhanger.
Mm.
I'm thinking the third episode's probably going to be where we really understand what's going on, and then the last three are going to be like leading towards the resolution, and then with a summary kind of thing at the end. So I think we're on the up with another exciting episode, and then it might plateau a little bit.
Did you like the how the episode ended with the time police kind of entering this time zone, and it was the apparent evil version of Loki, and he was just standing there, and then he dropped the fire?
Yeah, it adds intrigue to what could happen next. It showed the vulnerability of these TVA officers, that they kind of answers the question they're not immortal, that fire has been enough to kill them. It just leaves us with more questions about how does this Loki, how is it traveling through time? How does he know that the TVA are coming for him, and how is he able to kill them? So we're left with, we've been given so many answers and what we wanted to know about the series.
Yeah.
But we've been left with so many questions as to what can happen next, which is a sign of a good writing and a good show.
Because Owen Wilson, remember the elevator scene, he did say, because Loki did ask, oh, how old are you? And he said time.
Yeah, he talks about time's different there.
Yeah.
So whether, like, he could be extremely ancient, or he could be a non-existent being that's not immortal but doesn't live forever. I don't know. Like, I think that's something I think we'd like to find out more about.
I guess one final question. Would you actually prefer, do you think the show is actually better as more of a character-driven show with the, like, space, time difference, or do you think it needs action to be good?
No, I don't think it needs action. I think the mystery of time travel and what's going to happen is enough. I don't expect to see Loki get in big fight scenes. I don't think that's his thing. I think he's more about manipulation and being sneaky. And I think that's what's going to make it different than the other two shows so far.
So, what would be your rating for word for this episode?
Oh, it'd be excellent. I think it's up there with as good as you could expect for a first episode of a show. And yeah, I don't think it could have been much better. It's left me wanting more, but also answered all the questions I have for now.
I'm going to go with excellent as well, and pumped for the next episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you for helping, Luke. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. Let the force be with you. Catch you in the next episode to Loki. Bye-bye.